You've probably seen your favorite YouTuber play these VHS-style horror games. And while your favorite YouTuber might have been a bit dismissive of these games,
scariest thing about this game is the fact that I won't be able to refund it.
I thought they were pretty interesting. So I bought this bundle on Steam and played a bunch of them. These games are made by the indie game developer Chillas Art. They are based in Japan, and as far as I know, it's mostly just two guys working on these. They were influenced by games like Dreadout and Detention. I highly recommend Detention, by the way. It's an amazing horror game set in 1960s Taiwan during the White Terror period. Most Chillas Art games have kind of an old school VHS look, which is a smart way to kind of stylize the pretty rudimentary graphics.
What's up, guys? It's
Anyway, let's get into the games. The Convenience Store is a horror game about working the night shift at retail. You start out in your apartment and get jump scared by literally nothing. Holy shit. It's honestly a nice touch to add a bit of voice acting. The protagonist is the only one with VO, but still, they didn't have to do that. Yet they did. So you change into your uniform, warm up some food, and get your flashlight. Now you've probably noticed the abundance of effects. You can actually turn them off in the settings, which is very nice. I chose to keep them on because I believe this is how the developers intended the game to be played. Moving on, you leave your house and make your way to work, where you find this old man outside. You blind him with your flashlight and he talks about some day of judgment. I don't know, I think he's talking about the Johnny Depp trial, maybe. Or maybe just some random QAnon shit. I blinded him again, just for good measure. Entering the store, you meet Ken-kun, your manager, and he tells you that some old woman came in and said she saw a man that had his legs bent the other way. Ah yes, my favorite SCP, the man with shit legs. This SCP is very dangerous, due to his shitty leg. You've probably noticed the frames drop when I enter the store. This is due to the game being made in the same engine as Scooby-Doo Horror Remastered. Or maybe it's because I have a gaming laptop. Anyway, you go and put any expired products in the trash, and take care of your first customer. After that, the automatic doors begin to open by themselves. They eventually stop and a delivery man shows up with a package. You take it home and that ends your first night. Pretty uneventful, but something I've noticed in some of these Chillas Art games is they like to get you into routine and then break it with, some scary stuff, which I personally like, although you do have the negative of nothing really happening for a while. The second day starts and you open the package and see a VHS tape inside. The tape seems to be some footage of the yellow caution tape behind the convenience store, but not much else. So you move on and make your way to work. Once you get there, you talk to Ken-kun again.
Hey people, Seth here.
He tells you that the door opening by itself was just some loose wiring, and it's been fixed. He then shames you for thinking that it was SCP-4078, Shitty Leg Man. Anyway, you punch in your time and go to the back to genocide some rats. I feel so powerful. After that, an old lady goes into the store and heads straight to the bathroom.
I need to take a piss.
While she's in there, a man that wears sunglasses at night comes in and demands I fetch him 5 cans of beer and a pack of cigarettes. You now have to individually get him 5 cans of beer. I don't understand why he wants me to do it like this, but my beta gamer fingers automatically complied with his demands. Maybe he's a fan of Andrew Tate. And this is simply his strange way of flirting with me. Needless to say, I was charmed. Anyway, he leaves and the old lady leaves the bathroom and complains to you that this was her daughter's house. Oh, okay. After she leaves, the doors start opening by themselves again. When you look around in the cameras, you see that it was actually this devious little boy all along.
You can't keep getting away with it!
The delivery man comes to pick up this package and we're on to the third night. Wait, second night? I guess the first one didn't count. As you wake up, you hear a knock on your door. You go to check it out and it's another tape. You pop it in and... it's just more of this. You get your umbrella and you're off to work. Sorry, I was jump scared, so you will too. You punch in your time as usual and get to work restocking the shelves when this guy Hamada comes in to fix the AC. You then go on the cameras and watch him, like a total creep. It seems like he left something inside the vent, so you open it up to find a key. This key goes to the shed behind the caution tape, but you can't enter because there seems to be some sort of evil energy. As you enter the bathroom, the door closes behind you, and it seems someone is entering the store. God, it better not be that fucking kid again.
He can't keep getting away with it!
You go to check the CCTV cameras and you pick up these talismans that she left on the floor and use them to exorcise that door. Inside, you see your manager, dead, and it seems like he watched these videotapes. You wake up in your room again and watch the next tape. Unsure if that whole thing was just a dream, you make your way to work as usual. This is really when the whole routine building and repetition of this game comes into play. It seems like the same walk to work that you've been doing all this time, but now you know something's different. You're finding yourself more tense over nothing. When you get to work, Ken-kun, your manager, isn't there, and there's no instruction on the table left by the owner. As you leave the cashier booth, the store is now filled with TVs and looks like this hellish Silent Hill type space. Sorry, I had to mention Silent Hill at some point, you know. This part actually has a pretty neat puzzle. You need to check the cameras where you see that little shit again, and activate the TVs that he stops and looks at. You then hear some crying from the storage room. I tried my blinding technique again, but it was no use. The store returns to normal, and you take the last tape home. You now have a choice. You can send it back, throw it away, or watch it. I chose to watch it because I think it's funny. And that's the ending. Now, if you decide to send it back, you get some more context. The convenience store used to be a house where a man killed his pregnant wife and son, and their ghosts now haunt the store. So it's a pretty simple story, and I don't really like the fact that it just gives you all the info at the end, but the game had some good spooks. And for $2, it's worth it in my opinion. When you start the game, the protagonist says,
あいつ、急に家に来いって、なんでかな?
So let's find out who invited us over and why. Now, first thing you notice as soon as you start playing is the effects are pretty wild. And unlike in the convenience store, it doesn't let you customize as much. Holy shit. But moving on, something you can do as you're trying to find your friend's house is pick up coins and pray at these little altars. These will be important later. Yeah, or, you know, the fucking dead cat right here. So you finally get to the little apartment block and head to room 104. You knock on the door, but no one is home. So you get the spare key and the plant and you get in. Dude, this looks so fucked. You explore his room and find his diary, with the last 7 entries missing. By the way, who the fuck has a diary? Like, movies and games make it seem like everyone has a diary or a journal, you know? Like, there's a diary in this game, in, like, Outlast, fuck Mr. Hatch. So the point of this game is to find all the pages, and find out what happened to your friend. You get the first page from this hole in the wall. It's just him talking about finally getting this apartment and living alone for college. He does seem surprised at how cheap the rent is for such a nice room. In the next note, which you find in the bathtub, he talks about how the owners seem overly grateful that someone finally is renting the place, and how the previous tenant just left a bunch of stuff here. As you leave the apartment, you see a crow holding one of the pages. We'll deal with that later. Going behind the apartment block, you see someone in the shed in the back. You knock on the window but get no response. When you open the door... What? Inside the shed, there is a memo you can read. It talks about how the owner has tried to demolish the apartment, but when he called the contractor, the line simply stopped working, and his mother suddenly became ill. The building is impervious to fire, and the apartment must continue to sell. Now, I blocked out the rest of it because I think the note gives away too much. I'll explain later. But the guy sure seems determined to get rid of this place. You pick up one of the notes next to the memo and go read it. The only important thing in this note is the fact that some old women were gossiping about the apartment as he was leaving. Anyway, you go down again to get this ladder and use it to get up into this locked bathroom, which seems a little messed up. I mean, imagine if your friend was in there.
Think fast, chuckle nuts!
You get another note from here that talks about how the neighbors around this guy just give him the cold shoulder, and he says he met a nice girl at school that is, and I quote, single, ready to mingle. So, good for him. You find the next note inside this car, and when going back up... Wait. Why? Wait, why would the ghost do this? The note is about his mom. He believes her and his dad had a fight. It seemed like something was off about her, and maybe something more serious was going on. Remember the crow? Well, if you recall, the crow couldn't be scared off. Now, what do crows fear most? Aside from loud noises and general swatting. Fish. That's right, so you go back. Hey. This person left you some money next to their noose. How nice of them. This is actually a traditional Sicilian message. It means, kill yourself. You scare the crow using its natural predator, the cod. Pick up the note and read it. He was finally able to talk to his crush. What a great day. Except for one thing.
Whoa.
When he woke up, his mom was gone and left her car. Very odd. But he invited you over, so she'll like that. You pick up the last coin and use the money on this vending machine to get the last piece of paper. He wrote, "There is no escape." And then he wrote, "I can't read the rest." What does this mean? We then go home and we get a monologue by her. It reads, "I looked back repeatedly as I felt I was constantly being watched. But no matter how many times I looked, no one was there. I couldn't handle the fear. I walked as fast as I could. He was absent from school the next day. His seat was occupied by someone else. I tried asking his friends and teachers, but none of them knew or even heard his name. After school, I went to the same apartment. However, the apartment was sold. According to locals, the place has been on sale for a while. Where did the apartment go? And the boy I knew and loved, where did he go? Was it all my dream? Come to think of it, I don't remember his name either. Wait, who am I even talking about? So, big twist, the apartment consumes people and erases their existence completely. It would be a pretty neat twist if they didn't spoil it halfway through the game. Remember that memo that I censored CCP style? Yeah, that just spoils it completely, so that really sucks. If they had handled that little twist a little better, this could have been like a neat interactable creepypasta type of story. It is just €2 though, but the effects are kind of annoying. But the crow thing was pretty funny. I don't know, this one's alright, not as good as the Convenience Store. Next game. You start out in your apartment and you're late for work. Also, the main character is a woman. I'm mentioning this because it's important to the story. As you go down the stairs, you hear someone's phone ringing. You pick up the phone and keep going. In the parking lot, you see a man looking for something, so you hand the phone to this beautiful gentleman and get in your car to go to work. I must say that so far this is the best looking game out of all the ones we've looked at. It still uses a lot of effects, but I think this one uses them a lot more subtly. The reflections look quite nice, even if they're a little bit glitchy. When you get to the coffee shop, you have to talk to Senpai and put your stuff away. So you can already tell this will be a similar experience to the convenience store. You talk to Senpai and find out he's a total asshole, and he endlessly berates you for being slightly late. I found this a little weird. Maybe it's just a cultural difference, but where I'm from, you get reprimanded for being on time. You put your phone and key in the locker and get to work. The main gameplay loop in this game is preparing the customer's orders. They will order their drink and you can consult this whiteboard for the recipe. If you have any questions on how to prepare the order, there's some VHS tapes you can watch to show you how to do it. I have to say that they somehow managed to make this pretty relaxing. Maybe it's just the smooth jazz music in the background. I call this one the Coltrane. You do get some annoying orders, like these kids that couldn't decide on what to get. Dude, I don't fucking know. In the first day, there are two main customers to focus on. First one is this lady that says she heard on the news that stalker cases are rising. Wait, what?
Ну чё стоишь? Подходи, я не кусаюсь.
And that a woman like her should be careful, cause all the guys are always staring at her. But you don't have to worry as much as she does. What the fuck is that supposed to mean? The second important customer is this private investigator that asks you if you've seen anything suspicious because there have been a lot of cases of harassment in the area, and he gives you his number in case you see anything. But we don't have to worry, cause I guess I'm not pretty enough to be harassed. When you're done with all the customers, you have to sweep the floors, cause I guess this is what gaming is now. The lights go out, so you go to the breaker to turn them back on. When the lights turn back on, you see a bunch of boxes of spilt milk. But you know, it's nothing to cry over. You put them back where they should be, and that ends the first day. You start the second day in your apartment and make your way to the car. You see how the game is doing that thing that the convenience store also did, getting you immersed in a routine so it can, you know, get ya? You get to work and talk to Senpai and put your stuff away. Your Senpai berates you again for being late. And yeah, I just don't get it. Where I'm from, if you arrive 5 minutes early, you're just fired. Your first customer is this guy. He says that something's not right about this place. He mentions that maybe it's because of that guy. But there's no one there. If you were paying attention, I put clips where it showed that guy right there. Just watching. When this man leaves, you see the man that was wearing the hoodie walking into the store. He orders a vanilla cappuccino and 2 glasses of milk. So now there's no doubt in your mind that this man is deranged. He never says a word to you, drinks his milkies and leaves. All the while, this dude won't stop hitting on you. But I like what the game is doing here. I checked my analytics and most of you are dudes, so imagine you were a woman for a sec. If you feel like you're being stalked, I mean, it can be anyone. You're not just gonna count this guy out just because he's more like extroverted or more handsome or whatever. When you go to the table where the milk boy was sitting, there's a picture of you. So, you know, it's definitely him, but what I said still makes sense. In the next day, or night, you wake up in your apartment as usual, and go down to your car. Ew, what the f- That's obviously a grown man pretending to be a baby. You set off in your car, and it seems like someone is watching you. When you get to work, you try explaining to your senpai that you're being stalked, and he says, haha. What is wrong with these people? Anyway, you have a pretty regular day, but this group of girls mentions some creepy guy they saw on the bus. As you're cleaning the tables, something shows up in the CCTV cameras. When you go outside, no one is there, obviously. But you see a note on the outside menu. It reads, "The day we first met, yes, at Chillas. She smiled at me, like a flower. Just thinking about her makes my heart pound. I've never felt this way before. I wonder if she's putting a smile on everyone's face like she does mine. So, real classy. Like something out of a Sigma male tutorial.
Number 7. The Sigma lifestyle. No one lives their lives quite like a Sigma male.
It's a new day and there's a letter in your little letter hole. It reads, I know her best, maybe after your mother and father. I'll really be number 1 in no time. She picked up my phone and went out of her way to give it to me. I mean, it was on the way. I really didn't have to go out of my way. I knew she felt the same way I did. We are in love. Today is our anniversary. Of what? The phone incident? You go down the stairs and make your way to the car. But this time, the car doesn't work. So now you have to take the bus. In the bus, you can really feel the protagonist's desperation as she starts to suspect anyone could be the stalker. If you remember what those girls said at the cafe, you'll know that the creepy dude uses this bus. The protagonist has probably realized that this was all planned so that she would take the same bus as him. And as you leave the bus, you make your way to work and find Senpai in the bathroom. What the fuck? So you do your job as usual until... I don't know. When you finish your job, this thing appears outside. The lights go out and this screen becomes a giant clock. These silhouettes appear and you have to make them coffee. Clearly, this whole stalking situation is really getting to our protagonist. I think the black silhouettes represent her confusion and her not knowing who could be stalking her. At this point, she probably suspects every customer that comes in, and I think the clock represents the pressure that she feels that this man is going to do something bad to her if she doesn't do something about it quickly. After that, you go to the storage room to turn the lights back on, but it doesn't work, and now you're locked in here. So, a new day, a new fun adventure, am I right? That's what I say, that's my catchphrase, buy my t-shirt. Going to the stairs, you see a kid doing a cool TikTok dance.
What the dog doing?
You ignore that and go to work, cause your car is working again after a quick trip to LS Customs. When you get to work, Senpai isn't there, so you put your stuff away and that detective from the beginning shows up. She finally gives him a call and he says he'll take a look around to see if he can find anything. You do your job as usual and the lady with the baby shows up and it sounds like she's sobbing. Looking closer, you see there's no baby in the little baby compartment. Now, I've seen people theorize that a lot of stalkers have a twisted mentality, obviously, and because this lady scared the protagonist and yelled at her, that in the twisted mentality of the stalker, you know, game ending the baby is a way of protecting or serving the stalkee. Now, my theory is a lot more simple. The baby obviously just ran away because he's clearly in his mid-30s. Later on, a woman comes in saying there's a man on the roof. It's probably the investigator, but you go check it out anyway. You pick up this ladder and get to the roof, where you see an entrance to a room that has been locked in the storage room since day one. When you go in, you find that someone has been sleeping there for a while. There's pictures of you on the wall, and notice the milk cartons. Remember when the lights went out and there were milk cartons on the floor? Remember the milk boy? You quickly go to close the store. Now that you flip the close sign, there's no way the stalker can come in. But hold on, that doesn't look like the milk boy. That looks like the phone man. Here's my theory. The phone man and the milk boy are working together. Please hear me out, I see you typing. Stop. The phone man is the one sleeping in the back. He tried to get some milk by shutting the lights and dashing for the milk, but it doesn't go well. So he gets this guy, probably pays him some Fortnite skins to get him to buy some extra milk, bring it to him, and while you're at it, take some Polaroids. Makes sense, right? But back to the game. This guy is now on the hunt. As soon as you leave the cafe, this happens. So you go back up to the roof and see the private investigator dead. You get a cinder block and drop it on the stalker's head. She quickly goes to the police. When the officer takes her back to the cafe, the bodies aren't there. None of the bodies are there. She goes back home, obviously exhausted from all this, and tries to watch some TV. There seems to be a problem with the cable, so she decides to call the owner. But she doesn't have her phone. And actually, the phone wasn't in the locker at the cafe. She gets up and there's a ringing sound coming from outside. She goes to get her phone, and when she comes back, and that's it. But I have a theory. This might sound insane, or even schizophrenic, but what if Senpai is the stalker? I mean, he always wears a mask. When he leaves his shift, he actually goes into his little man cave. I don't know, that's stupid. Don't listen to me. I think the closing shift really is this studio's best game. It has the most content and the most interesting story. But there are other Chillas Art games that I haven't played. If you want me to play them, just let me know in the comments.
Obama is having sex with her wife. Obama is having sex with her wife. Obama is having sex with her wife. What's up guys, I'm Obama and I'm gonna have sex with my wife. I'm Obama and I have just made sex with my wife. What's up guys? I discovered that I am not Obama and I have no wife.